sometimes it's really hard to get your point across or to continue a debate unless you put it in video form. So we were talking about the knife wound to Darlie's neck in the private group there. I was speaking with Danielle, Darlie's sister, and this is what the video is going to be about right here real quick. I was talking about why did Darlie say on the Herzog show that the knife actually cut her carotid artery when it didn't. She said that the doctor said on the stand that it cut her carotid artery and that she would have bled out, and that's not what was said. Danelle reminded me that Darlie had a limited education. She didn't have any medical information, and she may have just got that wrong about the carotid artery. But she was in the courtroom, and what she said the doctor said on the stand is not what the doctor said on the stand. I didn't get a whole lot of response from her about that. It's hard to explain why she would say that, and I get that. So I came with, did Darlie say that it cut the carotid artery? Could it be maximizing the situation as Darren did on the Lisa show when he agreed that the force of the knife was so powerful it went through the boy and into the concrete below to the carpet? We all know that neither boy had it through and through. I know Darlie can read and understand what she's writing. I have several letters from her. I know she knows how to file complaints within the prison system. I would think she would know every file, every word in her case if I were fighting for my life and had all the time in the world to study it. Danelle says, actually, that statement came from Toby Shook. Darren just repeated it. As far as the knife coming down so that it went through one of the boys into the carpet and left a nick in the concrete. Toby Shook has never said that. Toby Shook has never said that the knife went through to the floor, and he never said that. But years later, on the last defense, Toby Shook made the comment that one of the boys was impaled. If you look up the word impaled, it means like went through. What he meant was one of the knife cuts went through a couple different vital organs. Toby Shook never one time said that knife, the force of the knife was so strong that it went down through the carpet, through one of the boys and into the concrete. Anybody can look at the autopsy reports. They're right online. Autopsy of Devin Routier, autopsy of Damon Routier. Neither one of those boys had a knife wound that went through them into the carpet. So she says actually that statement came from Toby Shook, and Darren just repeated it. Well, that's incorrect. Like I said, Toby Shook said that years later. Darren said it in 1998. And it seems to me like it would be maximizing, because if somebody was stabbing that hard, it would seem like a small woman couldn't do that. So, here we go to the show that was this was aired in 1998. This is way before Shook ever said anything about anything being impaled, any knife going through the floor. Shook never said that. He never once said that. Nowhere.
What was the first thing that rushed through your mind when you entered the scene?
Well, it seems like the very first thing that I remember hearing is a glass break. And then this screaming, this huge, loud screaming. And just getting closer and closer to me. And I don't remember if I put my pants on. I don't remember my glasses being on. All I remember is I was surprised that I didn't just jump off the balcony onto the bottom of the floor. That's how scared it was.
You left the baby up there in the crib.
Right, left the baby up there, but I didn't check the baby yet.
Now,
I didn't do that until later on.
Was Darlie on the phone with 911 when you got there?
No, when I came down the stairs, I passed her. She was screaming, Devin, 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 Devin. Just freaking. She's screaming and she's hollering, and that 911 tape is exactly what I heard. She went straight to the phone, straight to the sink, get the towels, and I was straight to Devin.
The thrust of the knife was so powerful that with one of the boys, it penetrated the chest, broke his ribs, and stuck through the floor underneath him.
I know.
And his eyes were still...
Now, Danelle says, let me see if I can go back to it real quick. Danelle says, actually, that statement came from Toby. She meant Shook. Darren just repeated it. Darren didn't repeat anything that was said by Toby Shook. He agreed that that knife went through the floor into the ground under one of the boys, when that never happened. There was never any evidence of that. Now, I do know that when the carpet came up out of that house, there was a nick on the floor, but it was determined to be from the construction of the floor and the laying of the foundation. Darren and Darlie had that house built. He was part of the overseeing of the construction. But this is Danelle saying, actually, I kind of had, I'm not trying to insinuate anything here. I'm not trying to piss Danelle off. But I had previously in my other video under where Darlie's talking about the cut in her neck. She says it actually cut my carotid artery. Okay? Now, anybody can look at this in FBI profiling and the way they interrogate people. There are trigger words that lead them to believe that they're about to tell a lie or emphasize on a lie. And one of the words is actually, and then to say, actually, the knife cut my carotid artery. Or the truth is, or honestly, these are words that are there to compound something that you know isn't true, according to FBI standards. If I have to show you that, I will. And I'm not insinuating anything here. But when Darlie said, actually, that the knife actually nicked my carotid artery, now we have Danelle saying we know that statement came from Darren. We have Danelle saying, actually, not calling her a liar. If people think that Danelle is intentionally lying, that would mean that Danelle is an accomplice. I don't believe that Danelle is intentionally lying at all. I think Danelle grew up in this case, and she grew up around supporters. Just like if a child grows up Amish, they're going to be Amish. If a child is taken in and out of a Presbyterian church, they'll probably be Presbyterian. If a child lives in a home that's full of drugs and bad stuff, they'll probably turn out that way too. I feel like Danelle has had these reasons for her innocence instilled into her since she was 13 years old. I don't think she's intentionally lying to cover up the murders. I don't get that from her. What I get from her, honestly, now Darlie is a different story. But what I could feel from Danelle is that if Darlie told her that she did this, if Darlie ever told her she did this, that she wouldn't come and lie about it. I don't think she's lying. But again, let's watch this.
The crib.
Right, left the baby up there, but I didn't check the baby yet. I didn't do that until later on.
Was Darlie on the phone with 911 when you got there?
No, when I came down the stairs, I passed her. She was screaming, Devin, 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 Devin. I mean, just freaking. I mean, she's screaming and she's hollering, and that 911 text is exactly what I heard. I mean, she went straight to the phone, straight to the sink, get the towels, and I was straight to Devin.
The thrust of the knife was so powerful that with one of the boys, it penetrated the chest, broke his ribs, and stuck through the floor underneath him.
I know.
He said, I know. He didn't say, well, that's what Toby Shook said. He said, I know. And anybody that's, if it was me and my life was surrounded around proving somebody innocent, I would know the autopsy. But if I was trying to cover up for someone, I would probably maximize it as much as I could by extending the actual force that was used. It doesn't seem to me like a young girl can stab that much. And if the knife went through to the carpet, that would mean that it stopped suddenly and it would cut the hand of the person that was holding it. Think about that. But again, it's all just about what misinformation is being put out there. Toby Shook never said anywhere that that knife went through the body and into the floor. He did, years later, on the last event, say one of the boys was impaled. That's what Donnell means. That was years after. That's what I'm here to do. Respectfully.